Good morning and welcome to the Vicarage here at Penn. Hope this finds you well and cheerful. And whether you're watching this morning or watching in the evening, hope you are having and have had a lovely day so far. To remind you, I'd like to invite you, if you are free this weekend, we'd love to see you at church. We have a service 5:30 at St Bart's Saturday evening with our band for the first time back in several months. We have 8 o'clock Sunday morning and 10 o'clock Sunday morning and 11:45 at St Bart's. I'd like to introduce to you also this weekend a new priest who's joining us called the Reverend Glyn Watkin, and look forward to welcoming him taking our services this weekend, which really looking forward to that. And we're going to have a good one, and we'd love to see you if you can come. And so to our reading for this morning. Paul and Barnabas have had their first missionary journey. They'd gone to Cyprus first, where Barnabas had come from, and just before they'd left Cyprus, a guy called John Mark had gone home. More about him in a minute. Then Paul and Barnabas had gone to Turkey. They'd spread the gospel around Turkey, places like Derbe, Lystra, Iconium, and places like that. And then afterwards, they'd sail back home to Antioch again. And you'd have thought it was time to set off on their secondary journey, get the old team together, Paul and Barney together for the second journey to encourage the people and find out how they're getting on. But it doesn't quite turn out that way. Here goes. Acts chapter 15, verses 36 to 16, verse 5. After some days, Paul said to Barnabas, "Come, let's return and visit the believers in every city where we proclaim the word of the Lord and see how they're doing." Barnabas wanted to take with them John called Mark, but Paul decided not to take with them one who deserted them in Pamphylia and had not accompanied them in the work. The disagreement became so sharp that they parted company. Barnabas took Mark with him and sailed away to Cyprus. But Paul chose Silas and set out, the believers commending him to the grace of the Lord. He went through Syria and Cilicia, strengthening the churches. Paul also went to Derbe and to Lystra. From there, there was a disciple named Timothy, the son of a Jewish woman who was a believer, but his father was Greek. He was well spoken of by the believers in Lystra and Iconium. Paul wanted Timothy to accompany him and took him and had him circumcised because of the Jews who were in those places, for they all knew that his father was a Greek. As they went from town to town, they delivered to them for observance the decisions that had been reached by the apostles and elders who were in Jerusalem. So the churches were strengthened in the faith and increased in numbers daily. And this is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. So, as I said, you would have thought, get the old team together, Paul and Barney set off on their second missionary journey. But instead, they have this almighty bust up, and they part company. And if you want to hear the kind of unabridged, unadulterated version, read Paul's version of it in Galatians chapter 2. Luke gives you a slightly nicer abridged version, but nonetheless, the fact is, a bust up happens here. You might say that the overall issue, I think, is actually to do with imposing Jewish things on Gentiles, as you find out in Galatians. That's the substantive issue. But in Acts, Luke has it that the kind of the tipping point, the spark, if you like, is whether to take John Mark with them or not, a guy who'd left halfway around it, and you can discuss that at your leisure. The thing is, though, like it or not, whatever the reason was, whatever the tipping point was, Paul and Barnabas have this bust up and they separate. And in a sense, you think, what a tragic thing, disagreement in the ranks and so on. But I suppose I want to say three things about that this morning. Firstly, this. We have disagreements in churches today. We don't like it, but the fact is they happen. And I suppose what this tells us really is that 'twas ever so, In the early church, when things were really lively and there were, everything else, the great saints of the church, they had arguments too. And if they did, I suppose we're going to too. So, in a sense, we do fall out about things. We do disagree about things, but, that's all right. It's always happened, The second thing I want to say about this is why. And what becomes clear from this is that Paul and Barnabas, they may disagree about Mark or whatever, John Mark, but they're passionate about what they believe in. And I think we have lost often such a sense of passion. These guys are absolutely rock on for God. They're desperately passionate about the gospel. It means everything. I mean, Paul had nearly given his life on the previous trip to Lystra and so on. These guys are passionate about their faith. It means everything to them. And because they feel so passionate, inevitably, they're going to fall out about things, they're going to disagree about stuff. And I suppose I'd like to say what we need more in churches these days is more people who are passionate, more people who get excited about their faith. You know, I mean, I remember a few years ago that there was a woman in a previous church who used to go to, she was, very, very careful in Sunday morning with Turby, all this sort of thing. And she used to go to visit Manchester United on a Saturday. And she'd scream for Manchester United on Saturday and then come to church and be all terribly sensible on Sunday. And I used to say, why is it all right to get passionate about a football team, but it's not all right to get passionate about Jesus? And actually what I really like about Paul and Barnabas here is they're passionate about their faith. And because they feel so strongly about it, inevitably they're going to fall out and disagree about stuff. So my friends, let's get more passion in the church today. I think we need more of it. We need people who feel strongly about it, who love Jesus with their heart, soul, mind and strength. So first thing, there was a disagreement, but 'twas ever so. Secondly, let's get some more passion because we need more of it in the church. But thirdly, what happens is, like I told you before, on the previous journey, they'd gone to Cyprus, then to Turkey. What happens now is that Barnabas goes to Cyprus and Paul goes straight to Turkey. So effectively, you get 2 missionary journeys for the price of one. There would have been one they'd done together. This way, you get 1 mission to Cyprus and 1 to Turkey. And so you end up, as I say, getting 2 missionary journeys where there had been 1 before. And the point is, as Paul says later, all things work together for good for those that love God. And even out of this disagreement, God brings good. Because like I said, where there had been 1 missionary journey, now there's 2. And I'd just like to finish with this lovely verse, Acts 16 verse 5, which I think is really important. And it says here, after the end of this, it says, so the churches were strengthened in the faith and increased in numbers daily. Paul started on his 2nd missionary journey. More on that on Monday. Have a lovely weekend. Hope to see some of you, if not lots of you,